I'm going to share with you now all my top 7 tips of getting your property ready for this summer in regards to your plumbing and heating. So my first tip of getting you ready for the winter is my number 1, and that is turning off your outside taps. You're very unlikely going to need them, and they are the first thing to freeze or very susceptible to freezing, and we get so many call outs to these. So the best thing, what I advise, is turning this off. You should have a stop tap inside. It could look very similar to the top of the handle, or it could be a lever valve. Turn it off. Once it's turned off, open the tap, let all the water drain out, and then leave it open, because leaving it open means that if there's any water left in the pipe, that if it freezes it will expand, and if there's no room for it to go anywhere, the pipe will still split even though you've turned off the water. So if you empty out the water, leave the tap open, then nothing, if any residue water expands, then it's still not going to split the pipe. This is my number 1. I very much doubt that you need your outside tap at the moment. My suggestion is to get this done now. For number 2 this week is insulating your pipework. So whether it's a new install or something that's been changed in the loft, or something that's been up there for 10 years and you're like, nothing's ever happened, you've got a few points here. One, you're losing heat. That is ultimately, these pipes ultimately are radiators, so you're losing all that heat into your loft space, which is a complete waste, and you're very susceptible to freezing. So if you go away on holiday and you turn your boiler off and the heating pipes and the water might be then cold and then freeze and pops, then you've got feed pipes from showers and alike. So what you want to do is insulate this pipework. You can get easy insulation in 15, 20mm, 28 from Screwfix or another local supplier like HPS Plumbing Supplies in Burgess Hill. You've got Armatex, which is a much better insulation. It's a lot thicker, more easier and pliable. This is something you can do yourself, and if you can't do it yourself, here's all our insulation for this project that we're about to do. If you can't do it yourself, then hire someone to come in and do it. This will save you thousands. If we go out to so many call outs, just a tiny little leak, and normally you find that actually the pipe bursts, or you realise it's burst after the freezer's gone, because the frozen pipe then thaws, and then you've suddenly got the leak. So don't be silly and let it go. Get your loft checked. If you can't get up your loft yourself, then get someone to come and check all your pipe work and insulation for you. That's my tip number 2 for my winter tips. Top tip number 3, bleeding your radiator as part of our winter preparations and advice that we're going to give you. So my helper Terry is going to come. Thank you very much, Terry. That's exactly what I need. So we've got tissue that you're going to use. You're going to fill the top of your radiators. My advice is to check that they've all got no air in anyway, or haven't got any air in. What you're going to need, a bit of tissue to catch any water that may come out, and you need a bleed key. Terry's just opened up the TRV on the side to make sure that the radiator is open. So if you've got TRVs, they're normally numbered 1 to 5, and make sure that they're open. So once you've got that, you can make sure that your boiler's turned off, or at least the program is turned off for heating. You don't want the pump running in the boiler. You're going to get a bit of tissue underneath, turn it anti-clockwise, and only do it slowly until you hear any air come out. If you immediately get water that comes out, then the radiator obviously has no air in it, and you can stop and move on to the next radiator. Now, what I would say is, if you get a lot of radiators that have a lot of air come out, if you've got a system that's pressurised, so that's definitely a combi boiler or a system boiler, or a boiler that has a gauge on it, or in a cupboard or an airing cupboard somewhere you have a big red vessel, then you're going to have a pressurised system, and you might need to top that up, and you want it around about the 1 to 1.5 bar. If it's below that, then you need to top it up. If you don't know how to top it up, you can put something in the comments and I'll try and help you. Otherwise, check out my other videos that tell you how to top up different types of boilers. If you've got a gravity-fed system, so in your loft you'll predominantly have a smaller tank. You might have a bigger tank, but you'll have a smaller tank. That's called an F&E tank, that's for your heating. And the system will automatically fill up and you don't need to do anything. If you have a pressure gauge, then you need to top it up. If bleeding the radiators doesn't make any difference in terms of the radiator coming on, then you might need to seek some professional help, or pop in the comments and we will see if we can help you. Tip number 4, keeping an ambient temperature in your house when you're not there. So this could be going for work, so a lot of people might click off their boiler. I go to so many with the boilers clicked off. That then cuts out any safety features that the boiler itself has built in to protect itself should the temperature drop dramatically. Also, if you're going away and you turn off the boiler, or just turn off your heating to off and we're in the winter months and we get that sudden beast from the east or the blast of coldness, which is quite rare, but we do drop below zero at times. That means that the pipework can freeze and then you're going to get a burst pipe. So what my advice would be is on your thermostats, whether it's a digital one or one on the wall, is leave your heating on permanently. So click on the on the heating, and then on your thermostat, click it down to a setback temperature. For instance, on this one, I've set it to number 10. So while we're away, if the temperature in the house starts dropping, when it gets to 10 degrees, it's just going to lightly heat the house up, which means all the pipework's then going to get warmed up, and then you're going to have a setback temperature of 10 degrees. Now, depending on how long you're out for, or if you're out for the day, then you could bring this up a little bit so that the house is still warm and can quickly warm up to the temperature that you want it to be when you're in the property. So, for instance, setting it at 16 or 17 could then allow it to heat up very quickly once you arrive home and want the temperature up to maybe 20 degrees to be comfortable. Keep to a setback temperature is my advice. Tip number 5 today, guys, is making sure you know where your stop tap is. So I hope my other tips have hopefully prevented any disasters. However, if a disaster does occur and you've got escape of water in your property coming from lights or a tap that just won't turn off, then knowing where your stop tap is vital. So have a look around for it. It might be under the stairs, under the sink. Ultimately, it could be anywhere. Some of the places I found them is very, very surprising indeed. Check it out. Have a look around, ask your last plumber that is at the property if he knows where it is. They look like this. So it could look like that one, or you might have something like a lever valve. Once you found it, also make sure it actually works. Don't get caught short. Remember to drop me a follow and obviously a like, and any comments if you need any help. I am very happy to try and help you. If you don't want to lose your heating this winter or pay a hefty call out fee for something that's quite simple, then follow me now for tip 6. We're going to talk about frozen condense. So underneath your boiler there'll be a pipe like this that goes outside the wall. It should then go into either a white or a black pipe that's 1.25 inches, like this one just behind me, and this is the wastewater that comes from your boiler. This is susceptible to freezing, and if it freezes, then it locks out your boiler, you lose your heating, and then you'll likely call out an engineer. However, you can avoid this or make it avoidable by adding insulation. Insulation comes in different forms. So this is Armatex. You can do this yourself to insulate the pipe outside. Doesn't need to be insulated inside. Insulate the pipe on the outside, and then you will prevent or at least help a lot the pipe from becoming susceptible to freezing. Make sure you follow me, guys, because I'm going to do some more videos on this. If your boiler's a little bit higher, then you might need to get some professional help. Drop in the comments if you need any help, or visit my website at www.matthews-plumbing.co.uk and fill out an inquiry form if you're local to Hayward Heath if you need any help with upgrading your condense if it's this size going outside, or if you need any help with lagging it to make sure that it doesn't freeze this winter. Tip number 7, get your boiler serviced and your system checked over. Getting a good engineer to properly check your boiler as we head into the colder months. Sure that you have the best chance of your boiler sailing through the winter, keeping you and your family warm. When your engineer's on site, ask them if they can make sure that they check for any expansion vessels, check your unvented cylinder. This may be an additional cost, just to let you know, and also to check all the radiators and make sure there's no air trapped in the radiator. From the unvented cylinder, checking your radiators should be something that your engineer is more than happy to do, and we do that for our customers that are on our monthly plan. Doing these simple tips and checking the system like a 360, so checking the boiler and everything connected to the boiler, gives you the best chance of proactively checking if anything's wrong with the system, but also making sure that nothing's going to fail during the really cold winter months when we actually need it. If you haven't had your boiler serviced in the last 12 months, get it done now. Ring your engineer, ring your company, and try and get fitted in before the winter really hits us. That's the end of our top tips. Thanks very much, and my next tips coming up, if you follow me, are energy savings tips as we fly into 2025. Really appreciate all the follows, the interactions, and I promise I'm going to keep bringing you more content and more content the more that you like my posts and show me that you're actually interested. So drop me a comment, drop me a like, and most of all, please give me a follow. Forgetting, if there's anything that we can help you with, if you live in the Hayward Heath area or very local to Hayward Heath, you can fill out our online form at www.matthews-plumbing.co.uk. Thanks very much.
I wanna sing like Madonna,
And that is turning
I wanna dance like a queen, I want to look at the sky, I want them looking at me.